Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
And I'm Arthur Nolan.
And welcome to Making It Work. It takes a lot of work to make marriages work, but today's guest, we're talking about now accepting the fact that she is facing divorce. She did everything she could to work things out with her husband. He refused to come to counseling, did not want to move in the direction of the healing of the marriage because of lack of trust and for several other reasons that will be disclosed during the interview. But Tonya still pressed on and continued in her counseling, continued to work closely with us, and more than that, she gave her life to Jesus Christ during the counseling. What a victory.
A tremendous victory. And the most important thing is that she was willing to make changes to improve her lifestyle. Even though that her spouse refused to accept anything different, he wanted to move on. His mind was made up. And in that particular situation, once your mind is made up, you know, it's very unfortunate, but his desire to improve the situation or the relationship just dissipated.
And they met as they were out, they were in a motorcycle club together, and they were drinking and they were indulging in a lot of different behaviors, and then she recognized when she began to change and he no longer wanted to be in the same relationship with her. It's difficult when you see change happening and you're like looking on the outside in, and my marriage is falling apart, and I cry out for help.
Well, one of the things that was really important is that in the process of the change, Tonya indicated that he had some anger.
Oh, a lot of anger.
Because he wanted her to change rapidly.
Right.
He didn't want it to be a long process. And unfortunately, when we talk about changing behavior, it sometimes can be a process involved.
Oh, it takes time, It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to change overnight. Well, join us as we interview Tonya, searching for peace. Peace that passes all understanding. Let's see the interview with Tonya.
Tonya Lovette, you're here at Kim Logan Communication, and you've been with us for a while now.
Yes.
There's a transformation that I've noticed from the time that you started and where you are now. I mean, it's profound because I see a lot of changes going on in your life. Give me some insight about what brought you to this point.
When I came in, I was broken, and I felt defeated, and was probably on the verge of doing something I couldn't have taken back, going through a recent divorce, or separation, I should say, at that time.
Okay, and so you were dealing with issues within your marriage.
That was one factor, but yes, that was the biggest one at that time. But for several years, I've just been getting knocked down with hard trials year after year after year. And I just had a...
When you say knocked down, so I'm under the impression you're talking about different relationships.
Not different relationships, different circumstances in my life that caused great pain. I can go into that. In 2010, I met my now ex-husband. We married in 2011. He became an over-the-road truck driver, so the separation put tension on the marriage. 2012, I went in for a simple surgery, and for 11 months after that, I had to fight for my life. The doctor said I would die on many occasions.
Really?
Finally got better around April, May. Around that time, my mother fell deathly ill. I buried her in August of 2013.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Try to get over that, still struggling in the divorce. And in April of 2014, my mother-in-law at the time was diagnosed with breast cancer. She lived for 1 month. She died in May from complications from chemotherapy. And in August, my husband left me.
He made a decision that he didn't want to be married anymore.
Right.
Okay. Had you had any, I guess, understanding or something to give you the insight that the relationship was not going to work anymore?
I know on my behalf, the year prior to, I was considering divorce, but being that I was doing everything to be spiritual and to be a Christian, I really had no reason to leave him because he hadn't done anything to step out on the marriage. So I tried, I prayed, I started going to church, and just no matter how much I tried it, you have to have two people in the same place.
Okay. So you started going to church, or you wasn't really participating in any Christianity or anything like that at that point?
No, I've always gone to church. Was I obedient? No. Did I go on a regular basis? No. But, in all of my situations, I know that's where my strength comes from. That's the only thing that have kept me on a good path, even with all of my mess-ups.
Okay, that's understandable. We all mess up. Yeah. Give me some insight about your family origin background.
Born in Detroit. Mother and father left Louisiana, came to Michigan. And we moved back to Louisiana in '79. All of my family is from Louisiana, Mississippi. So that's my Southern heritage that I'm so proud of. But I guess the proudness kind of ends there. Mother was an alcoholic. Father is still an alcoholic. He has his bouts with narcotics, from occasions, but I take care of him. He lives with me.
Oh, okay.
When we moved to Louisiana, I know the mind has a way of doing things. I kind of don't remember a lot before '79. I guess, tyranny on my life, I started being raped by my father's son. And it would have to be '79 or '80.
Well, your father's son, you guys didn't have the same mom.
No.
Okay.
Right.
So around '79 or '80.
We moved in '79, so we weren't there long. He was living with us. And he began raping me, as soon as, that I can remember, as soon as we got there.
Man, that's a tragedy.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, how did you deal with that?
Violence.
Okay.
I've heard people say I kind of changed overnight. They didn't understand it. Supposedly I was this sweet young girl, but I just don't remember. I see pictures. I look happy. I appear, but I couldn't tell you where I took those pictures or anything like that. But,
so you were angry at that point, though?
Obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously. And had you talked to anybody about
it?
Did you try to get any type of help?
No. In the South, what happens in your house stays in your house. You would think that a parent would know, but unfortunately my mother was dealing with her own demons. She had been raped as a kid, so unfortunately, even if she knew, she didn't know what to do to help. So I don't think it's no surprise that she had 3 daughters and all of us were raped.
All 3 of you?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a tragedy.
Yes.
So how did you go on? After that point, I know you talked about violence. So is that the way you dealt with all the issues when you got stressed or anything? Pretty
much. You didn't even have to do anything to me for me to fight. And I was a small person, but unfortunately I was a little fierce. I took up karate, I took up boxing. And the people who, after my brother, they introduced me to alcohol. I think I got my first and only DUI at the age of 11.
Really?
Drinking and driving.
You actually had a DUI?
Yeah. Arrested.
Okay.
A cousin that had been molesting me he was supposed to be watching us when my mother had surgery. She was in the hospital, so he took it upon himself to allow me to skip school and buy some alcohol, and we drove around town, and he actually fell asleep with his hands in my pants. And I got pulled over. I was evidently, speeding, and we were arrested, taken to the sheriff's jail, and his mother came and bailed us out and just asked me not to say anything.
That must have been heavy, as far as not being able to communicate about it, having those feelings, So how long did you stay there, and how long did this continue to go on?
Up until almost the ripe age of 18. I would have to say maybe around 17. At that point, I really started considering myself dating, even though I had been sexually active from then on out. But it was usually men, mostly family members, taking advantage of me. Introducing me to marijuana, taking Valiums, and that was their control. It was easier, for them that way.
So tell me, when you moved to Detroit back as an adult, what happened?
Well, actually, I left Louisiana in '89. I was pregnant with my oldest son, and I stayed in Atlanta until '95.
Okay.
And I came back to Michigan, which is where I was born. But I had got in a bad situation in Louisiana where I had assaulted a woman while I was pregnant, and I couldn't leave until I had my court date. So from then, I went to Georgia, where I ended up with 2 sons. Jail moment after jail moment, fighting after fighting, assault. And
still angry?
Very.
Okay, Then you got back to Michigan.
I got back to Michigan. I brought 1 son with me at the time, and you know, attempted to do everything right, got back in school, and I was in college in Georgia, but I dropped out. It was kind of hard going to school pregnant, and so I came to Michigan, started working, got back in school, but that just wasn't enough, I guess, to stop the behavior. I still continued on with the many men and relationships, and met my youngest son's father. We married. Didn't last long. Many jail visits during that relationship. He was supposed to be a pastor, and I did everything I thought was right, but just never really addressed me.
Was he in the church? I mean, you say he was...
Technically, he was supposed to be a minister, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motorcycles. Tell me about that.
Love it.
Okay.
That's my new favorite thing to do. I've been riding since 2003, and actually I had a scooter when I was 11, and that was the thing that the cousin was doing to take me to go check on my scooter back then. So I've been on 2 wheels for a long time, but it's my free time, it's my open time. Yeah, I love to do long rides.
You still ride a lot.
Oh, yes.
You know,
yes.
And also with the motorcycle, you got involved with organization apparently, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Looking for family, being here pretty much alone, even though my dad was here. My sons were here, but I didn't have like any real friends. I think because of my past, I kind of gravitate towards men. You know, I work with all men. There may be 10 women out of probably 20,000 men. That's just my comfort zone.
And your job is?
And my job, a truck driver, hauling cars, yes.
Okay.
But with the motorcycle, I met some people, and it was supposed to be family, the husbands and the wives and the children, and it didn't take me long to realize that wasn't the case. But on one night, we all went out and did what we do, drink, you know, to oblivion, as I would describe it, and went out, and in my mind, we're family, so there should be no fraternizing, no sexing each other up, and they followed me home. That was the rule of it. The single lady, somebody have to make sure she get home, and one of the club guys asked her to use my restroom. I don't remember this, unfortunately. And I went in, evidently let him use the restroom, and I began getting phone calls the next day saying, what's going on with you? That's not like you. And the guy had came out and told him that we had had this wonderful 5 minutes of sex. That's how long I guess he was in the house. And it took me about 2 months before I ran into him, I guess, for lack of better words, and I ended up in jail.
You ended up in jail because?
Yes. It was an altercation.
Okay.
I destroyed his motorcycle along with a couple other people trying to get to him. Luckily, I had on high heels. I couldn't catch him per se, but I got into a lot of trouble.
Okay. Yeah. So you went in jail, and that was the last time you were in jail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You know. So and then you met your husband eventually somewhere down the line, and then now you and your husband are officially divorced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the marriage
almost 2 weeks.
Okay. So the marriage only lasted what?
We married in 2011, and the beginning of this year we were divorced.
There was no way of reconciling that situation.
I hoped, I wished, I prayed, I begged, but somebody who's not on the same path spiritually, actually, they all think I have literally lost my mind because I'm so focused on God, and that's what's keeping me, you know, where I am now.
Okay, you've gone through all that chaos, all that craziness, and here you are, you're sitting up here and you're talking to me about God.
Yes.
You know, so what's the motivation? What got you to this point, and why do you feel that your relationship with Him is so demanding or important?
One, I believe I was chosen. I was brought up in the church. My mother's mother was a minister. My mother, prior to her passing, she became a minister. I just believe it's in my DNA. I know what I'm supposed to do. Unfortunately, I do like most people. And I get away from what I know is right. And every time when I come back, the pain is greater and greater. And I just made up my mind this time that I don't want to have to experience that I can't control myself going through these ups and downs. All of my so-called friends, they don't deal with me, and that's okay. So-called people who say they love you with family, they don't deal with me, but that's okay. I've never felt so loved at the same time being so alone, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Alcohol, no more alcohol.
No drinking. To say I won't go out and hang out with my friends, I'm not going to say that, because I do have some people that we have some things in common. But no, I brought back alcohol from Cozumel, and it's still sealed, and you know, and that would have never happened in my past. But I'm okay with not drinking. I know that was my issue.
You just stopped.
I have to. I have to.
You no assistance, no recovery centers.
No.
No AA or NA or anything. AA, Alcohol Anonymous, 12-step programs. No. You just stopped.
I had to.
Okay.
It was that on my life.
Okay.
It was that on my life.
You came to the realization that if you didn't stop, you would die.
If nothing else, I probably would have killed somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was how deep my pain was.
Okay.
And alcohol was my my backbone, I guess. Not that I really needed one with my past, but with some of the things that I was going through, I was using that to guide me.
So how did your children, you know, see you as you were going through this turmoil? Did they ever talk to you about it? Especially now, since you're not involved in that type of lifestyle.
You know what? I really protected my children. To say they didn't witness anything, but I'll guarantee you none of them know, outside of maybe family members talking. They were not aware that I was in jail even when I was in jail.
Really?
I've never done stints. I'm talking about maybe the weekend, but going through bouts with court. And unfortunately, my anger, I went through a stint with my oldest son. We had an altercation. He's a really big guy, and I take full responsibility for it. But I was in the system with him for years.
Really?
Because I guess in lack of, I assaulted him. I felt, you know, like he was doing, unfortunately, what teenagers do, and me with my background is, no, you don't stand up to me, and you know, it caused me to really go overboard with him.
Okay.
And yeah, and I regret that to the day I died. But we have a great relationship. But, you know, my path that I was on, it was either me or them, I guess is the best way. And I'm talking about people coming into my presence.
Okay.
That could have been harmed.
So the relationship is good now between you and your son?
Oh, with all of my sons, it's good. Now, you always have one you feel that'll call you a little more often, but the oldest son, he's really in contact with the now ex-husband. So I think he kind of, you know, I don't know if he feel an alliance, but, you know, I have no problem with that. You know.
Okay. So tell me, when I say family to you, what do you think about?
God.
Okay, so God is your family.
Yes.
Explain.
That's the only place I found my peace.
Okay.
When I go to family, nothing there.
Okay.
Once again, people that knew me, I even had a young lady to tell me, you don't need to be going to church like the way you do. You just need to be the person that you were. That's who your husband fell in love with. And it took everything in me not to tell her if I stayed the person that I was, he would be dead because I was that hurt. I felt that betrayed. So people would never know me. I've tried to get that young lady to go to church, but she's in her own battle with the devil, as I said. And, you know, they just think I've lost it, and that's okay. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working for me.
So that anger and that deep anger that you had, you know, right now you don't have it.
And I'm tested daily. I pray, and I mean that.
How?
Things that normally would have just set me off, and unfortunately it didn't take much, and that's not good being a female, but I started a new job just for the one. I'm tired of being outside, and I get confronted daily. I'm not a thief, or, you know, I'm a very upfront person. I always have somebody accusing me of something, or, you know, making it seem like I'm doing something against somebody. And time before, you know, it would have been, would have given me cause to, you know, attack somebody.
So now you're not at that point.
And people that knew I would cuss and fuss, they really think I have lost my mind because I don't do it.
So what's your plans for you and your way of walking now, the way of thinking?
Straight.
Okay. You know.
Peaceful. Okay. And I know I still have some ways to go, because I find myself sometimes like, okay, you know, 5 years ago, now when I can stop saying that, I'll know I have arrived. Okay. But I do find myself just, you know, saying thank God.
Okay. So now you're at a point where you actually trust in the Lord. Proverbs, you know, 3 verses 5 and 6, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not on thy own understanding. I'm getting from you that you actually really feel this. This is something that's really important to you.
I've always felt it. I've never lived it fully. But now I feel like I have no other choice.
Oh, okay.
If I die now, I have no doubt that I've turned the corner and I've done everything right.
Mm-hmm. So what could you say to somebody that may have experienced some or be into that type of lifestyle that you had struggled with for so long?
Just close your eyes and imagine you walking a few of those steps that I've done and look at me now. I think I'm just God's witness of what success looks like. Not money, but to be able to overcome all of that and still have positive thoughts.
Yes.
Is great for me.
Okay, so that's motivation.
Oh, most definitely.
You feel like you won something. Do you feel like celebrating and excited?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm getting excited just thinking about where you came from and where you are now, and your desire and your motivation to maintain this lifestyle.
I feel like I have no choice. I have one son left to get out, go to college, and I thought I was living before, but I am ready to live now. Excellent. I'm ready to live a good life.
Wow.
Yes.
You just came back from a cruise, not too long?
And it was wonderful.
And before that, you went on a vacation with some friends. Is that correct?
I came to see you all in Alabama.
In Alabama, that's right.
For the funeral, unfortunately.
And you drove all the way down there. That was a good experience.
So the cruise, I drove to New Orleans and, was out with my friend who had gotten married. And then we went on the cruise after that. But I was by myself, and I loved it.
Because you like the road. You like to drive.
I love to travel.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I'm on my way to Atlanta now with the niece that I've come in contact with for years.
Okay.
So I'm going to see her in a couple of weeks.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes.
So with 1 minute left, is there anything that you would like to say that, you would like to leave with our listening audience?
Everybody won't turn towards God if you were not brought up that way, but just know that you can overcome it. You can get through it. You have to find people who believe in you. Anybody that says anything negative, you have to remove those people from your life because they cannot do anything for you. And if they tell you anything negative, they are not for you. They want to see you in the same position that you were. And you have to be strong enough not to stay there.
That's powerful. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've done an excellent job. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Same to you.
Okay.
Arthur, during this interview, Tonya decided to think about Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath. She had to walk away.
Well, let's look at it at a point where it's not so much she had to walk away. She recognized that at the point between her husband and herself that there was no more love, that it was nothing else that could be done to resolve this situation. And so she had to find herself. She had to get to a point where whatever was required for her to save herself, that is what she had to do. So I'm sure she would have really appreciated if her husband had said, okay, let's try this one more time.
Right.
But she fought for it. She was trying to resolve it, and he refused it.
Oh, he did. He didn't want to reconcile.
Right.
Even after talking with him, I had several phone conversations with him, and she was in the office during the time, and he kept saying it was her responsibility, it was her fault, and I just can't do this anymore. And she says, I recognize I made mistakes, but where's the forgiveness? Where is the forgiveness in relationships? Why do relationships end in divorce?
Well, it's forgiveness if a person is willing to move on and try to resolve the differences. But what's really important, once again, is that this man made a decision that he wanted to move on, and that was his focus. He wanted to move on no matter what. Now, let's be real.
Okay.
A situation had occurred where this man inherited some money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, a great deal of money.
And when he and Tonya met, his bank account was
on zero. He didn't have any money, any credit, nowhere to live. He was living with his parents, and then he meets Tonya and moves into her home.
Because Tonya was vulnerable.
Yes.
And willing.
Yes.
She saw something where, well, maybe this man and my family, we can come together.
Right.
But after he received the money,
yes,
then he made a decision, I didn't need Tonya anymore.
Right, and you see that happening a lot.
That's reality, you know, and it's unfortunate, but that's why I said, let's look at it from the real perspective. Right. I personally believe that when the money came, he decided he wanted to go.
So he made this decision way beforehand.
Absolutely.
He was just waiting for a way out or the money to come.
Yes.
You know, searching for peace, how do we find peace? And I know my peace comes from Jesus Christ, a peace that passes all understanding. But what are people looking for in their marriages? What are they looking for today?
They're looking for, as one of my clients indicated, she just wanted somebody to be nice to her.
Okay.
You know, people want to feel like somebody really care and support them in being nice. Well, I mean, the best thing in the world, you can really deal with a whole lot of issues, but if you got the support at home and you got somebody that's right there who has your back, you know, then that means success. That whatever the outside world wants to do, come on with it, because I have my refuge in God and my spouse.
You know, you always used to talk about, Kim, I need you to have my back. That was very hard for me, you know, in the middle of our marriage, you know, 10th, 12th year, having your back, because it was a trust issue. And I trusted you, but it was more so just really showing you that, because I was more so concerned about having my own back.
Of course, you know, let's look at the dynamics that's involved there. You know, we're talking about from a disrupted home and being at a point where you didn't want to feel under any circumstances that you couldn't take care of yourself.
That's right.
You wanted to be in charge.
And that control.
Absolutely.
Giving her that control. But I thank God that Tonya did realize that she could be a better person and be whole through Christ Jesus. She's involved in a nonprofit organization that she started.
A serious relationship with church.
And she's very active in her church, and she loves God. And she has now completed her counseling process, and we thank the Lord that she has found her peace.
Yes.
Well, I thank God for peace, again, that passes all understanding.
Yes.
You can find your peace also through Christ. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nowlin.
God bless.